What's up, friends of the good mood? This is Manni and welcome to Ratatatatat and boom 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 boom. We're using the auto cannons here on the Crisis today with fully maxed Avengers and Tempest weapons that they're gonna kick some butt, but of course I will also tell you many reasons why these weapons are really bad, why they suck, and why you should never invest any silver or coin piece into them at all. You know, of course, when you have 4 of them fully maxed, you can still deal some damage, especially on a on a Crisis robot who can, you know, have an increased damage. You see here the 2 setups, double nuclear amp on both with fully maxed Avengers and Tempest. We have the legendary pilot, and we have both pilot skills to make them useful or work in some way. Shot grouping for less inaccuracy, and a speed shooter for accelerating the fire rate faster. Because they start with doom 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 doom, you know? And you get this faster when you have this pilot skill. And you see this Mk3 there, probably not maxed, was taking a lot of damage. Even the Skyros ball, even in his ball state, actually felt those hits. Because the damage output per hit is not that bad. The problem is how long it takes to deal damage, but I don't want to start right away with the disadvantages and the complaining, okay? Let's first enjoy a few minutes of gameplay before I really go into the disadvantages part, because it's substantial and it's very dominant in this video later on. But yeah, you see we can do some damage, we can actually hurt some enemies, but of course we have to retreat and spend a long time reloading between the sessions of actually dealing damage to the enemy. We're also firing at targets further away, but I don't always want to drop my stealth. Sometimes I first want to get into a position like this, where I can hang my turrets out and just shoot over the cover and not get shot back. This is actually a really good spot here when you're on the carrier map, because you can cover 3 beacons at the same time. You can cover the beacon behind me right now. You can cover the base beacon from the enemy team. You can help defend the beacon on the other side where I'm aiming right now. Not very well, because there's this engine part in the way. But you can also just walk 5 meters and you can defend the beacon that's right in front of or next to me here. So a very good position, strategically allowing you to be very impactful. But let's begin with damage with disadvantage number 1, because this is a good opportunity for me to show it. Please excuse me, guys. I hope you like the gameplay, but I will now need to also, in all fairness, explain why this weapon is so bad, okay? And so we're beginning with disadvantage number 1, the bullets travel so slow. You see technically we have 800 meters range, but we fire such slow traveling projectiles that the robot constantly tries to lead the target and pre-aim the shot, but all the enemies has to do is just change his movement direction and the shots go nowhere, because they travel too slow for that. So, way too slow travel time for the projectiles. That's a very big disadvantage, especially when you're trying to shoot anything over 600 meters range. Disadvantage number 2, you have a spread. You have a spread on top of the inaccuracy. That's a really bad combination, because that means you're gonna lose firepower. Even if the enemy would stand still, you're still missing shots because the weapon spreads. Okay, and that means you need a pilot skill. Other weapons do not need a pilot skill to perform to their best ability. This one needs a pilot skill to reduce the spread, so we can actually hit something at longer range and perform. You know, it's a double disadvantage, because you're suffering from spread, and you need a pilot skill occupied that you should use for something more useful. You know, 2 factors that really convince you not to use this weapon, you know? And here comes disadvantage number 3. The weapon starts to deal damage slowly. It doesn't start off with its full damage output like most other weapons do. It starts with very slow damage, because you're starting with low firing rate. Doom, 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 doom. You see? So you need another pilot skill. You need the pilot skill that reduces the time it takes to accelerate to this high fire state where you actually begin to deal damage. So that's another problem. In a world where instant damage is the meta, like the Crisis, bam, 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 and all damage is done, right? In a world where this is the meta and anything else is useless because enemies have phase shift, shields and whatnot, you start to deal slow damage. That's a real big problem. And needing 2 pilot skills for a weapon to simply begin operating is unacceptable. You will never see anybody use this weapon because it's just this bad. It sucks this much. And we're not even halfway through the disadvantages. Can you take more, guys? Can I really give you more disadvantages at this point? I want to deliver some fun gameplay, but I cannot tell you to get this weapon. I just can't, because it's this bad. Of course, we're still having fun. I'm still having fun using it, especially on the Crisis, because you can find the right time to start firing at somebody and then you have some fun. But I need to let you also know about the disadvantages. I cannot make a video that seems like, oh cool, that's a good setup, and then perhaps you spent your resources in upgrading those weapons and getting them, and you're left with literally the worst weapon in the game. That would feel awful for me, so I have to tell you about the risks and the bad things about it. And that was only 3 disadvantages, or 4 so far. The 5th one is probably the worst, one of the worst, is it takes forever to deal damage. We're in, like I said, in a world where instant damage is the meta. You need to do damage fast, because after your shot, the enemy will go in stealth. He will have a phase shift. He will activate a shield. He will have a reflector or something going on. You have short time windows to deal damage. That's War Robot's meta now, and that's why Reaper is so powerful. Or Gauss, Volt. That's why also the lasers are delivering so much damage so quickly and are so powerful because of that. The Zhuangji or so, you know. In a world where quick damage, and then you bring a setup here that first off starts dealing damage slow before it begins to accelerate, and then it takes so long to deliver your damage. How realistic is it that you do this damage, ladies and gentlemen? How realistic? Here you see it. How much damage was I able to deliver? I was able to hit him 4 times before he crossed from the right to the left. In the meantime, and then he has a shield I have to worry about. I have to worry about energy and physical shields. I bypass nothing. Only with the Reaper, with the Crisis ability I can bypass the energy shield. And then I was able to make 3 hits before he crossed the cover. Our Gauss Volt setup would have just pop, and he would be gone. Reaper would have done the same thing. Zhuangji's lasers would have almost killed him entirely in that short time, because there's just this much damage coming, you know? So the time it takes to deal damage, it's unrealistic in this game. It's not a realistic scenario to tell you, to assume that you will be able to deal damage with this setup, because enemies will just walk in cover, have a shield, they will activate this or this thing, and it's just you're not able to deal damage. As soon as they start getting hits, they will activate the flight ability and pop. Their reflector is going. You know. And that is a massive disadvantage. And counting this onto the other disadvantages makes it really unattractive as a weapon. And then one of the next, and probably maybe still also the worst, is how long you reload. I do not understand Pixonic at this point, because this thing has only cons. There's literally nothing good about these weapons at all. Like anything, from the way they begin to fire with inaccuracy, the reload being so fast and it takes long, like, to me, it's game balancing 101 to understand that you cannot give a weapon a long delivery time for its damage and then give it a long reload too. It is an immensely frustrating end result that you just don't want to use. The Reaper, for example, should have a really long reload, because it deals immense damage instantly, perfectly accurate at maximum range. So this thing, after shooting, should have a really long reload, right? That's why they initially had trebuchets having long reloads, because they understood back then what balancing needs to have. Instant massive damage will force you to have a long reload after. That's needed for an healthy game balancing. So why in the world do Tempest and Avenger take forever to deal damage, but at the same time also have this immense long reload afterwards? And then needing 2 pilot skills, suffering from spread, suffering from slow damage starting with accelerating the firing rate. And then even if you combine all of it, the damage isn't even all that good. So yeah, we're already at the end of my gameplay that I prepared. So yeah, this it's really a problem. These weapons are just not ready to be used in any way, shape, or form. And this is a bit of a sad thing here, because I like them. I think they're very stylish. Listen to this. this sounds so cool. Dum 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 dum. I would use them more often. I would like to use them, but the game simply does not allow them to be useful in any way. And that's really a bit of a sad thing. Because let's just tell you what as a feedback, what I think needs to happen if this weapon wants to be seen anywhere. And it may sound overpowered or it sounds too much, but believe me guys, it really isn't. In a world where instant kills are the norm, yeah? You need 50 or 30 to 50% more damage per bullet on both weapons. You need 50% less reload, and they should probably scratch the inaccuracy and buff the bullet travel speed, because in today's time it's an unacceptable thing that you need 2 pilot skills just to make a weapon work, right? It's just too much of a disadvantage on top of all the others. Yeah, just a bit of feedback here. But I like the style, I like the robot, and I wanted to give you this gameplay, and I hope you still had some fun. But as I explained, I do need to tell you all about all the disadvantages these weapons have, to make sure you do not invest any silver or gold into them, because they're really, really not fun to use. They can be fun for a moment, and of course on a crisis with 4 of them maxed, anything will do damage. But these are really among the worst weapons in the game right now. And it's been like that for a long time, and I don't understand. Pixonic could and should do something about it, but they're showing no willingness to address these weapons. It's a weird thing. I don't understand why would you develop a weapon and at no given time ever make it good. Because they have never been interesting. Nobody has ever wanted them. Ever since, even when they came into the game, of course, every YouTuber made their initial videos about them because they were new, and then you think anybody really runs them in their hangars? I mean, there might be the 1 or 2 individuals out there who do use them because somehow they got them and decided to level and are stuck with them now in some way. But yeah, it's really not what you want to use. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. You know what? Let's do the regular outro from back in the days. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and comment down below. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, as brutal as a man can hit, for more. Thanks for bearing with me. You guys are awesome as always. Manni signing off. Bye-bye.